Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Michael from Hollow Thrills back with another video, and today we will be diving into a little speculation and predictions for one of my home parks, Dorney Park. For those who do not know by now, Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania is expected to get a new coaster in some sort for the 2024 season. With that being said, we will dive into the information we know and the rumors we've been hearing, and I'll take a guess at what I think is coming in 2024. But before we do that, make sure that you are subscribed and have those bell notifications turned on to get notified whenever I post a video, and also make sure that you are following me on both Instagram and Twitter. The links for both of those are down in the description below. So for over the last couple months, a lot of stuff has come out regarding a current project in development for Dorney Park slated for a 2024 opening. This new attraction is set to fill the long been empty space from the former Stinger attraction, which was removed from the park back in 2017. The inverted shuttle coaster never really ended up being the success the park had hoped since its relocation from California's Great America. The coaster was consistently down for maintenance and had a few emergency evacuations during its short time at the park. But since its closure and removal in 2017, that plot of land has remained empty. Recently, construction requests and permits have come out of Whitehall Township from Dorney Park, hoping to start construction on the park's new 8th coaster. Let's start with the common info at this point that most people should know. So we know 100% this is going to be a coaster, and we also know that it will be steel. Sorry for the people that hoped that it was wood. I know personally I would have liked to see a wood coaster, but it is steel. And we also know that it will have a chain lift topping out at about 161 feet tall. But other than that, there is not a lot of public information that has been released regarding this new ride. The only other thing that we have is a piece of ride blueprints showing off footer placement for this new coaster. Using this, people have already made educated guesses for the layout and coaster type that they believe that this could be. A few I agree with, but there are a few that I personally do not agree with. Now, Dorney Park hasn't received a new original layout coaster since Hydra opened in 2005. The B&M Floorless has been a staple at the park and shows that a smaller layout Floorless coaster can work. The coaster had replaced a crowd favorite Hercules, which, seeing it now, was a very good trade in my opinion, as Hercules was a very high thrilling wooden coaster but had a lot of issues with guest satisfaction later on in its life. But since 2005, Dorney continuously gets other parks' leftovers as far as new coasters go. The first being Possessed, and then the second being Stinger. So it's good to see that the park is getting a new coaster. Now, I have spoken to a few people within Dorney that have provided me with a few extra pieces of information regarding this new coaster. The first is the potential manufacturers that they have talked to during this process. The list was very small right off the bat, with only 4 manufacturers being on that original list. The first being RMC Rocky Mountain Construction, which to me makes me think of a possible small-scale RMC Raptor similar to Railblazer, which is currently an operating small-scale layout Raptor over at California's Great America. This coaster actually replaced Invertigo when it left the park to become Stinger at Dorney Park. So it is possible that we may see something like that come and replace it over here at Dorney Park. Now, I thought of another example of a small layout RMC Raptor, that being Wonder Woman Golden Lasso at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, which is one of the more thrilling small layout RMC Raptors and a coaster I personally am super excited to ride soon. But all of these ideas mean absolutely nothing, as it was confirmed to me that RMC got dropped very early in the process due to Cedar Fair's current relationship with that manufacturer after a very rocky installation and upkeep of Steel Vengeance over at Cedar Point. The other manufacturer that was briefly mentioned, but I personally do not see working with the size of the plot of land, is Intamin. This is another manufacturer that has been in talks with Dorney Park for this project, but to me, I just don't see any current model that they have working in this plot of land. The only one that I could see working is the vertical lift looping coaster, similar to that of Fahrenheit, but due to how close this park is in proximity to Hershey, I just don't see that model working because I don't feel like the park would want to make kind of a clone of that. They want something different, something that hasn't been done in this area. Which brings us to other two manufacturers that are currently the front runners for the job. And these two are being talked about the most within the community. The first is, of course, everyone's favorite and the one that, based on the footer layout, seems to be the most likely, and that is B&M. People seem to think that B&M is a lock for this project, and they seem to think that the new dive coaster is most likely going to be the coaster that is coming to Dorney Park in 2024. People have even gone as far to create No Limits 2 renders for this rumored coaster, and to me, these renders make this coaster look extremely boring, slow, and super small as far as layout and ride time goes. It's so short. But I'm just saying, if I waited, which I have, so long for a new coaster to come to this park, and if it ends up being this, I would be extremely disappointed. But we have seen a small layout dive coaster work in another park, with Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego being a smash hit over at that park with its high thrills compacted into such a small package. But who knows, if this ends up being it, I may have to eat my words. We'll just have to see. But personally, I'm just not on the hype train like the rest of the people on a dive coaster coming to Dorney Park. The last possible manufacturer that has been in talks at Dorney Park for this project is Gerstlauer. Now, this is the one that I think has a huge possibility of actually coming and is my personal guess for this new coaster. As another bit of information that I was given was that they have already gotten it down to a manufacturer and have already picked out the manufacturer that they want, but right now they are down to 2 models, 2 color schemes, and 2 names. The first part of that is what caught my attention: models. If this were a B&M coaster coming, there really isn't 2 models that they could pick from, as a dive coaster is really the only model that would work for them in this small layout. I just personally don't think that there's any other B&M model that fits the kind of stuff that we have been given as far as height and size. So I just don't see B&M getting this job here from what the information I've been given. But if we look at Gerstlauer, they have been the masters of the small layout thrill machine with coasters like the Smiler over in Alton Towers and Shellraiser at the American Dream Mall. And Gerstlauer has 2 different but very similar small layout coaster models that I think would work great at Dorney Park, being either a Eurofighter or an Infinity coaster model. Now, personally, I'm leaning more towards an Infinity coaster, as we have a few that are currently operational that I personally think fit the height and size of the proposed coaster. The coaster that I think of right off the bat that we can relate to this model of that fits both the size and kind of the height profile is Hang Time over at Knott's Berry Farm in California. This is a dive Infinity coaster with a 150-foot tall vertical lift hill, so it is slightly smaller than what is currently being proposed with 161 feet. But this coaster also has 5 total inversions as well as that dive element right off the initial drop. Now, with that 161-foot tall vertical lift hill, if that's what this is, this would make it the tallest Gerstlauer Infinity coaster. Now, the reason I view this as fitting the size of the area is due to what was previously replaced at Knott's, being Boomerang, the Vekoma Boomerang shuttle coaster, which, similar to Stinger, took up roughly the same amount of space. So it only makes sense that an Infinity coaster similar to that of Hang Time would be coming to Dorney Park to replace a inverted Boomerang shuttle coaster. Now, to me, you can believe whatever you want when it comes to what you think is coming to Dorney Park in 2024. But like I said, I think all signs are pointing to Gerstlauer rather than B&M. But it's up to you. Now, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you drop a like below and also leave a comment for your Dorney Park prediction for 2024. I'd love to hear it. But as always, I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills giving you the all clear, and all clear means you are out of here. See you next time.